Hello, thanks for joining us on your channel of choice at this time, Africa Independent Television, AIT. Baraka Disala and happy Eid al-Fitr to you all. Welcome to Focus Nigeria, your program that puts the searchlight on topical issues in the polity. But as you know, it's a public holiday today and Tuesday to celebrate the Eid al-Fitr. But we are here to serve you and keep you informed about events shaping the polity around you. And today, the face of politics in Rivers State is in focus. The hostilities between the former administration in that state and the current one have not ceased a bit, not even for a moment. And these past days, I've seen yet another round of brickbats between former Governor Rotimi Chibuke Amechi, now Minister of Transport, and his successor in office, Governor Nyesom Wike, who also was former Minister of State for Education. But there are some other developments in Rivers State now, where there has been some alleged wranglings and rumblings in the ranks of the opposition APC in that state. The development of the past few days also suggests some rumblings in the cabinet of Governor Nyesom Wike, who lost two commissioners in a span of 24 hours, Thursday and Friday, and then like a bolt out of the blues, he himself decided to fire all the commissioners on Saturday, all in one fell swoop. This morning, newspapers are quoting the governor as saying, well, it's all in a bid to rejig his cabinet. But is that the truth? The whole truth and nothing but the truth? So we have a lot to talk about as we put the searchlight on Rivers State politics this morning. Former majority leader of the Rivers State House of Assembly, now a law teacher, Honorable Chidi Lloyd, will be joining me. But let's quickly highlight some developments that have taken place since we left this platform last Friday. And that same day, that Friday, the Supreme Court was at work. And by the end of that day, two members of the National Assembly have lost their plum jobs. Now, after a pre-election case that started since 2015, the Supreme Court sacked Senator Sani Abubakar Danladi from the Senate and ordered that Issa Shuaibu Lau be issued with certificate of return as a lawful senator representing Taraba North Senatorial District. The Apex Court upheld Lau's claims that he was the lawful and validly nominated candidate of the PDP for the election in 2015. Justice Amina Adamu Auge delivered the lead judgment of the five-member panel. One notable feature of this case is that the hearing actually took place in the Supreme Court, as the court reasoned that after over 2 years of the tenure in question already spent by, well, a supposed impostor, returning the case back to the High Court for hearing on his merit would not serve the cause of justice. And so the court invoked one of its rare powers, heard the arguments, and determined the case, of course, based on the depositions before it. Also, same day, the same panel, headed by the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Walter Onoge, also sacked a member of the House of Representatives representing Vandikia Koshisha Federal Constituency area of Benue State, Honorable Herman Hembe. The Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Onogen, who delivered the lead judgment in that other case, also invoked this special jurisdiction of the court to hear the substantive issues, having first held that the case was properly filed before the Federal High Court in Makurdi. You know, Embe had challenged that case on technical ground, and that was what went up to Supreme Court. Now, in coming to his decision, the court looked at the pleadings of Honorable Dorothy Mato, who had claimed that she was the lawfully nominated candidate of the PDP for the 2015 elections. In both cases, that's the Taraba case and the Herman Hembe case, the Supreme Court decided that the two members sacked from the Senate and the House of Representatives should pay back every kobo they had collected as salaries, allowances, and other emoluments since they had been occupying the seats from June 2015 to date. The orders of the Supreme Court are to be carried out within 90 days. And see from the court, Secretary of State Governor Aminu Tambuwa was lucky. A suit seeking his removal from office was dismissed by a federal high court in Abuja. One of the aspirants who contested the APC governorship primaries, Senator Umar Dahiru, had contended that the primaries that produced Aminu Tambuwa was fraught with irregularities and should be nullified. But Justice Gabriel Kolawole dismissed the claims, saying even if Dahiru had proved his case, it will serve no purpose because the court, not being an election petition tribunal, cannot nullify the result of an election, of a governorship election. And this last one, after an initial filibustering, what is called initial gra-gra, embattled Senator Dino Melaye has headed for the court to stop the efforts of his constituents who are hell-bent on recalling him. The constituents who started their move some weeks ago crossed a major hurdle last week when they gathered the signatures of over 181,000 registered voters in the 7 local governments that make up the Kogi West Senatorial District. The petition and the signatures were handed over to INEC last week, following which the electoral body wrote to inform the senator about the developments and the need for him to get ready for a verification of the signatures before a date is then set for the referendum. Senator Dino Melaye's originating summons filed late on Friday were filed on his behalf at the Federal High Court, Abuja, by Chief Mike Ozehome, a senior advocate of Nigeria. In the suit, Dino seeks 3 declarations and 3 orders, including an order restraining INEC from conducting any referendum. The embattled senator claims that the signatures gathered include those of dead voters, and here he mentioned just 2 or 3 or so. And if you ask me when hearing starts on this case, it will be asked if 2 or 3 names out of over 181,000 is enough and substantial to put the entire exercise on hold, as the senator is seeking to. Big hurdle for Senator Dino to cross there. Okay, that's a quick recap for you on events that have been shaping the politics since Friday when we left you. So let's get ready for our discussions today. The face of politics in Rivers State, ever changing. That's what we'll be discussing shortly. Dr. Chidi Lloyd.
Human
for the
rights,
discussions.
equality, fairness.
They see chaos and conflicts. We see community action for good governance. They see poverty and want. We see perseverance and the will to go on. They see economic law. We see the ingenuity and creative spirit of our people. We are AIT News, fresh, authentic views of Africa. How would you rather see the world? AIT News, all sides, all the time.
All right, if you're just joining us, a very warm welcome to you. We're starting this morning's conversation now because my guest is here. Let me formally welcome him. Good to see him too after a very, very long while. Dr. Chidi Lloyd. The last time you were here, you were just simply Honorable Chidi Lloyd.
Yes.
Dr. Chidi Lloyd, he's since gone back to school. Not only that, he has completed his PhD. He's now a full-time lecturer. Do you find time to go to court as well?
Well, no, not yet.
Not yet. Former member of the Rivers State House of Assembly, former leader of the Rivers State House of Assembly, and then transited from there to majority leader when some members of the party decided to be a breakaway. He's also a development analyst. Good to see you.
Thank you, Benga, for having me.
All right, let's start on the general note. Rivers State has been in a celebration mood for more than a month now. Rivers State at 50.
Well,
Rivers has come a long way.
basically, the state itself has come a long way. But whether we celebrated is what I can't say here, whether what happened in Rivers State was a celebration. Because you recall that Rivers State was created the same time with Lagos State. I do not know how I will begin to make the comparison. If Lagosians celebrated, would we say in Rivers State that we actually celebrated? Because for the period within which they had the so-called celebrations, not less than 100 persons in Rivers State were beheaded at various locations in the state. In order not to be economical with the truth, in my constituency, in fact, my political ward where I come from, a community known as Obudioga, in one night, 8 people were cleared, beheaded.
You are from Obiakpo, isn't it?
I am from Emohua, local
Emohua,
government
sorry.
area.
Sorry. Yeah.
But my political ward is Ward 10 that comprise 3 communities, Obudioga, Ababu, where I come from, and Itu. In one night, cultists, as they are wont to be called, killed 8 persons and beheaded them. The same goes for other parts of the state. You wake up in the morning and find human heads littered the streets. So was that what we celebrated?
I remember not too long ago too, there was also an attempt on you, part of your.
Oh well,
part of your
it has
house
become a
was-
recurring decimal for me. Since 2013, I have had I moved from one problem to the other. In 2013, you recall when 5 persons attempted to violate the constitution, forcefully take over power from us. And we moved in to say, look, we swore to an oath of office to protect the constitution. And we put a stop to that civilian coup that would have taken place in the assembly. Shortly thereafter, I was involved in a motor accident, which my driver was on steering, but my driver and I were arrested by the super cop, as he then was, Mbu. He put me through all kinds of humiliation. And
that's AIG Mbu.
yes, AIG, as he then was. Now here he's
now
retired.
retired,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay. Now, shortly after that, there was an attempt to move a corpse to my house in the village. And ultimately, on the 23rd of September of 2016, some parts of my property in the village was touched. And properties and books that I cherish were all burnt in that. So for me, it has become a recurring decimal. But the most important thing is that in all this, God has given me the capacity to withstand all this. So what we had in Rivers State was a celebration by a section of people, a group of persons who find themselves either by default in government. Because the celebration did not include, it should have been a fun fair that would have included everybody, both politicians and non-politicians alike. Because for a state to attain 50 is not an easy feat. But what we had there was a jamboree.
Former Governor Rotimi Amechi was one of those that was to be honored at one of the events marking the 50th anniversary.
It was ridiculous how they came by
He turned
that,
it down. Why?
Yeah, basically because he's
Why?
You can't call a man a thief then turn around to honor him. And my principal described that as a
Wouldn't that probably have
as a poison chalice.
Wouldn't that honor have obliterated the fact of any other thing or name he may have been called before?
Like the governor now said that the honor was not. It was not as if he actually intended to honor the Honorable Minister for Transport. That what happened was that it was the provisions of the law. It was the provision of the law. In fact, that he even queried it.
Or that he ended maybe because it was a
Maybe
former
because
governor.
he was a former governor. But like the Honorable Minister of Transport would say, he's not a man who is given to singing and drumming. The story of the minister tells his story. So he wouldn't even have brought about reconciliation, because you can't call a man a thief in the market, then go back at home when the market probably would have closed to say, look, you didn't steal. I actually was joking. You don't do that because people would have moved with the story. So it wasn't a celebration for us. We were not part of it. And I, as a major stakeholder in the state, should know when...
Some people will likely say that that's carrying opposition too far.
No.
If your state was supposed to be celebrating and you decided not to be part of it, isn't that carrying opposition too far?
Do you go to the dining table when you are not invited?
If I'm hungry,
No. Well, that you are hungry.
it also depends if that person is my enemy.
Oh, okay. So that's the situation, because we couldn't compare that with what we had in Lagos State, where you have a fine gentleman in person of Governor Akin Umiambode delivering dividends of good governance in Lagos and all that. So their celebration and ours wasn't the same. And if you look at the percentage of people who are actually politicians, we are just a very infinitesimal group compared to the others that ought to be part of the celebration. Now, who celebrates when you risk being kidnapped, you risk being beheaded, and government had failed in all ramifications? Because the real essence of government, Benga, if you ask me, Section 14, Section 14(2)(c) or so, says that the purpose of government is to guarantee security and the welfare of the people. There is nowhere in the Constitution that says a government must build skyscrapers and all that.
It says so, but
the purpose of government.
It also says you can't hold the government responsible if it doesn't do that. But you can hold the government responsible for not providing security.
That's it. So that's what I said. That's why I said what the Constitution says is that every government that is what is sought must ensure that life and property are secured.
Yeah. Isn't the security situation in Rivers State is actually very worrisome? Isn't it possible that all of you politicians are also one way or the other culpable in all of this? Although the preponderance of requirement will probably be more on the government, a sitting government that has responsibility ab initio to secure lives and property.
I'm one of the fans of the late General Abacha, ironically.
Really?
Yes, because he says that, when the issue, General Abacha said, insurgency can only thrive in a place for 48 hours if government turns the other way. How did the previous administration ensure peace in Rivers State? When the Honorable Minister for Transport, as he is now, took over the reps of administration in Rivers State in 2007, it was as bad as it is now. And this young man went the whole war, made sure that he didn't dine with criminals. That's the most important thing. When you make yourself available, you lack the morals to question them. Rivers State was brought back to the garden city that
I remember all those forests that were demolished. One was actually demolished and a general hospital put
Who
there.
did it, Benga?
That's what I'm saying.
Yes, it was done by Chibika Amechi. I hear now that people say he didn't do anything. That Rotimi Amechi stayed in Port Harcourt. Even it is what Rotimi did in Rivers State is visible to the deaf and audible to the visible to the blind and audible to the deaf. Except you have other things in mind to say. This young man ensured that peace came back to Rivers State, and he was attending nightclubs to reassure the people, not because he's a disc jockey, but just to reassure investors and the citizens that life had come back. I mean, I hear now that instead of doing that, he was going into people's homes and all that. People talk without recourse to decency, because you have the fortune of shooting yourself into power. Now they have brought home anti-infected faggots. The lizards are here. Then when those who are saddled with the issue of security take steps to ensure that citizens are protected, you shout, "Oh, I have had over 20 commissioners of police. They are doing it. The IG has brought the commissioner of police to kill me." And these are not things a governor should say. These are not gubernatorial. There are rules that guide public utterances. That you are in that is why we call them His Excellency. That's why they are called Excellency, because they can be quoted. Leaders. You have, for example, you have the biography of Mandela. The things he has said.
Words on marble.
Words on the marble. So which one would you write in this one now? IG wants to kill me. Oh, the army chief is after me. Oh, the army chief gives civilians. I mean, what the Rivers State has come. We have never had it this bad. We are at our lowest ebb now. And when this whole thing started, then I was the first that saw this whole thing as a theater. And I said, then we were in Act 1, Scene 1. Now only God knows where we are now. And unfortunately for us, it is a theater of the absurd.
But as somebody who's on ground there, what do you think is the cause of this problem? If they are,
What happened-
if what is going on there is a court war,
What happened- what
why are
happened-
the security agencies incapable
Beggar,
of getting
Beggar,
to the root
what
of all of
happens
that?
is, you know what happens? My people have a saying that if your father sends you to go and steal, you probably will go there and use your leg and break the door. You know, no thief goes into a place, you know, with courage. The thief must look for a way out to meander. But
Sneak in.
if your father says go and steal, you probably will go there and match the door. So what happened was that we have a situation in 2015. What happened in Rivers State was a siege, and the former president alluded to that fact when he came to commission one of the projects that was started by Chibike Rotimi Amechi and was 85% completed. The former president came there and said that when he lost his presidency, Rivers State was to be taken by hook or crook. Now they went about, brought all kinds of persons who had run away from the state as a result of the former governor's no-nonsense approach to issues of cultism and other related issues. So these boys came and they were heavily empowered to subjugate and liquidate the APC and its candidates. And you all saw what happened. How they won the so-called elections. Certain persons are being prosecuted, monies are being found from here and there, and what have you, police reports. That was how they won the so-called election that they will not let people sleep. You know, and this is what has happened. And these boys, as far as they are concerned, they have a stake. We shot you into office. That is what is happening there. So the falcon can no longer hear the falconer. That is the situation we have in Rivers State. But the people are worse for it. And when the issues are brought up, they might, oh no, so what is Rivers State? They have more security situation in Lagos. Oh, this worse in Kogi. I mean, is that what a responsible government should be doing?
Yeah, but
They are drawing your attention to the killings in the fashion of ISIS that is going on in your state. You are comparing with other states. If the crime, the level of crime that happens in Lagos happened in Rivers State, that governor probably would have run away by now. But Lagos State has an administration. They have a governor. We can see every eye beholds a matured corn. That you cannot compare light and darkness. Is not possible. The Lagos State is lucky to have a governor who is responsible. And Governor Ambode is about setting a record in Nigeria where the opposition may not even be able to buy form to contest the next elections with him if he wants to. Because you don't change a winning team.
Okay, because otherwise I was going to say, is that good or is that plus or minus for democracy?
You don't. Do you contest an election for the fun of it? You want to contest to win, to go and make a change. But if what you have now is exactly what you are going to do, why worry? And you can pray. So ours is not what we have in Rivers State. For us in the APC, we will keep talking, drawing the attention.
But the governor alone cannot stop the security agencies from doing their job. That's what I'm saying.
If 100 lions are led by a sheep, the tendency for those other lions to behave like the sheep is nearly 90%. But if 100 sheep are led by a lion, the tendency for the sheep to behave like the lion is almost the same thing. The governor must lead. That is why he is the governor. He must show the way. He must show the political will to deal with the issues. But the political will is not there. That is why the criminals are having a field day. We have complained. All the one who talk to say, oh, don't mind them. Because they didn't win an election. That if we didn't win an election, so shouldn't we also have right to be citizens? For the government, is he not governor for us? He's our governor. No matter what, load him, like him. If I go for a quiz today and they say who is the governor of Rivers State, and I do not write any other name other than the person who is governor of Rivers State, I probably would have failed that exam. So he's my governor. He has a duty to protect me. And that's what we are talking about. But you don't give what you don't have. No more that cause no habit. You don't give what you don't have. This young man apparently is not prepared for governance. And that is what we are seeing happen in Rivers State. Every day singing and drumming. Why? What they call their star project, the 2 Keke Marwa that were put up somewhere on Aba Road, on a very busy highway. That place now has become a traffic jam. They carry 2 Keke Marwa up there, and that is what they are singing and drumming as star project. And I look at it.
That's the Port Harcourt Pleasure Park.
Oh yes, the one of the former governors of Rivers State described as second to none in the world. And the other day I was looking at a pleasure park in Lagos. That reminds me of one of the scenes in London. And people are just, they carry on as if others are not thinking. That is the annoying part. You are telling a lie, and you assume that others are not listening, or that we have become so daft that we can't decipher the truth from lies. So we are in a sorry state. The Nigerians should actually be praying for us, because in Rivers State, when you wake up in the morning, you actually should do Thanksgiving for seeing that day. Because you never can tell who will be the next.
In this war, this unending war between the former governor and the current governor, almost.
No, Ben, I want to correct you. The former governor cannot be fighting a war with his former staff, with his former aide.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter whether it's his former aide. That's the reality.
No, so what I want to ask is, who is the aggressor? That is what you should find.
That's not the issue. That's what I'm alluding to.
Okay.
What I'm up to is that there is no love lost between the two, and in this process, what should have been a kind of continuity, transition from one government to another, building on the legacies of the former, is not there. So to understand that even the legacy projects that the administration of which were a part left, have almost become completely obliterated, rather being denied or described as non-existent and all of that, simply because there hasn't been any continuity.
Benga, that's why most times I refer to what is happening in Rivers State as a huge melodrama. The same on one breath, they are telling you the previous administration didn't do anything. On another breath, they are commissioning roads which were initiated and started by the same government that didn't do anything. Even when they sit in conference centers built by that previous administration, they still claim nothing happened. And the governor was a critical part of that administration. He was the chief of staff. And when a man appoints you chief of staff, he actually has made you his second wife. See what we see.
Second, in some cases, chief of staff are even more powerful
than the
deputy governor.
In his own case, he was even more powerful.
I'm saying
than the governor himself.
Generally, chief of staff are even more powerful than deputy governors.
You said so.
In some states.
In his own case, he was more powerful than the governor. He was more powerful than the governor. And I hear now they said, oh, the governor, Rotimi Amaechi's brain box. The same man they accuse of not listening to people. The same person who is high-handed. So he actually had brain box, camber, battery, what do they call that other one? What do they call it? Plug or something. Must you throw all kinds of things at a man just because you don't like him? But I'm not here to praise Chibuike Amaechi. It's his lot. A man, this is what you find. This is what you get when you are ahead of your time. Nearness to Caesar, of course, has consequences. But what I am saying is that you don't throw all manner of things at a man just because you do not like him. As a fine gentleman, and you know what? When people come to say, oh, Rotimi Amaechi stole, you know, we were accused of sponsoring the election of President Buhari. Now, one would assume that we spent all the resources of Rivers State in prosecuting that election. All of a sudden, Benga, that same money was discovered somewhere in Ikoyi. Probably we didn't use it to sponsor the same man again. Haba.
So they said the money in Ikoyi
Was part of it.
was proceeds of the sale of the power. Is it gas
The
turbine?
power infrastructure.
Power infrastructure.
So which
to
one
Rivers
did we
State.
use to sponsor the presidency of
You tell us.
You know, you see, that's why most times.
But the Ikoyi gate, really, now that you touched on it, your state would have been the richer for it if you had pressed on, if Governor Wike had pressed on with his claim to that money.
Yeah, that's why. You know, when they found the money,
But was that claim
he issued an ultimatum.
legitimate or founded on verifiable facts?
Benga, you cannot.
If another institution of government,
put something on
if
nothing.
another institution of government, the NIA, National Intelligence Agency, claims ownership of the same money.
And somebody somewhere is singing and drumming, issuing ultimatum, bogus ultimatum to the Nigerian government. And Benga, and you know this matter is in court. One would have thought if you had a genuine claim, because when the governor said that money belongs to Rivers State, I thought the money actually had the flag of Rivers State or the colors of Rivers State branded. I thought it actually had serial numbers starting with Aruvi and all that. That is how you show that this money belongs to you. Then he goes ahead, he gives a 7-day ultimatum, which naturally expired without any noise from anywhere. Then the money was finally forfeited. One would have thought that all that the Rivers State government would have done was join in the matter in court to say, look, I have a lien on this money. That didn't happen. All we hear now is that he's rephrased the grammar. I was watching him on a sister channel the other day. He said, look, that his lawyers are working in a matter that is almost concluded. So he will shock Nigerians. We are still waiting to be shocked how that money is owned by Chibike Amechi. And he stashed it in a house in Ikoyi, where it was even shown that he has no property. This is a governor, a former governor that was speaker for 8 years by the grace of God. He became governor. Benga, as I speak to you, I do not even want to be like him in that aspect. He comes home, he stays in an hotel.
Who's that? That's
the Minister for Transportation. Because he has no property in Port Harcourt. As opposed to those who are there now, that you can point. They have bought over, as I speak to you, the governor has bought over a whole street. Buying properties and mowing down in the full glare of the citizenry.
In the name of the state?
Personal property.
Are you, if you are sued, so I'm just saying, if you are sued, are you sure you have any
Benga,
defense?
As I speak to you, the governor has bought over a whole street.
You are the one saying so. That's
I said so.
Okay. So
on
that,
other judge.
so that when you are sued.
And mowing down. Boldly, without fear. The governor gathers people to go and watch Real Madrid play in Spain. Does he do that with his salary?
Real Madrid or Rivers Angel, you mean?
Real Madrid in Spain.
Rivers
and
United.
They flaunt it. They flaunt it. As if what will happen. And we have our state secretariat without lights. The lifts aren't working. Pensioners are complaining. The policies that the former administration put in place in education. This is a governor that will come. You have Rivers people, probably the children of those who voted him, that were sent abroad by the previous administration. He comes and says, look, oh, this is frivolous. Why would you send people abroad to study?
But this was said to be, what the governor claims is that those mainly are children of people who have the means to take care of their children.
I challenge you. As it is now, they have a union. The parents of these displaced children have a union in Port Harcourt. You are a journalist, do your devil's advocate. You will find that assertion is not true. That assertion is not true. And of course, they pass through a process. They are not. It is not a place where they just write names for you to succeed. They pass through a process. And of course, if you have the children of one or two of those who can afford it, pass the process, will you deny him just because the father can afford that? No.
Because when the governor makes that,
and
when the governor makes that kind of a claim,
he ends that project abruptly.
If the governor makes that kind of a claim, the possibility of people believing him is there.
Okay.
Because it was part of.
Okay, why not see?
Sorry, because it was part of that project as chief of staff in the government. First 4 years, second 4 years, he was still part of the government until he became minister.
To become minister.
That's what I'm saying. So if he makes that claim, people would think
if
that
that's
a fact.
Is anything to go by in the first place, one would think that why not identify those whose children who can afford these fees that have their kids on that scholarship and ask them to take care of their kids. As I speak to you, most of those who were even in their final years have been left to wallow about. And when you bring them back, it is not as if there is a ready university that will absorb these children. They have to pass through JAMB. Most of them have lost their mind. As I speak to you, you bring somebody from Europe to come here, he can't find his bearing. And probably those who were their classmates in secondary schools
have graduated.
They have graduated. Depression sets in. And there are ready tools, willing tools to be recruited by them for the next election. And the man is singing and drumming. So when we come to complain, they say, oh, don't mind them, they lost the election. Lost what kind of election? Benga, must I go and kill people just to go to occupy a position? How many positions, Benga, are there? How many elective offices are there in Rivers State? Are there not others who are surviving without being politicians? You see what we have there? You see what is going on? Even in his cabinet, for more than going to 6 months now, we have no commissioner for health. Before he sacked his cabinet, we have no commissioner for. This man is the Trinity. He's God the Father, he's God the Son, he's God the Holy Ghost. How dare you? Who will ever talk to him? Talk when he's talking? The other day, he fired his commissioner for works. The one that used to talk for him suddenly realized that he shouldn't belong here. He resigns and runs away. If it was all good, will he resign? Then, as a politician that he is, he said, no, these others were about doing the same thing in his cabinet. Then he says, I have sacked the ESCO.
Which is his prerogative to
basically. But he didn't come because he would have wished to sack them. And these are people who were in the struggle. The Mahou struggle with him. He hires, he fires at will. Yes, it's his prerogative. The House of Assembly is under lock and key. The budget of the state, which was flying everywhere in the Rotimi administration, is now 7 books of Moses. We can't access it. And all these people, we can't all be mad at the same time. But when you allow some of these news to begin to fly without reacting to them, you give the impression that you have acquiesced and they have become truth.
Honorable Lloyd, are you worried that somehow almost all of the legacies the Amaechi administration left behind in health, okay, you've talked about education, in health, in the transport sector, in agri sector, have all, because the agri sector alone was a job creator in Rivers State. I'm saying this because we kept tabs on development, the Songhai farm and all this.
Who won't be worried that the Songhai farm,
the banana farm, that one was in Gokana.
The Nkana, the banana farm was actually is actually in Nkana.
Yes.
The Songhai farm in Tai, where it had metamorphosed to become a research center. Institutions were coming there to see what Chibuike Amaechi did with the farm. And it provided, you know, the highest employer of labor is agriculture. For everything that is done in agriculture, you need human beings. And we actually had a 3-star hotel in that place. All that legacy has been crumbled. The fish farm in Buguma, the fish farm in Ubima, and what have you? Which one will you say? Which one will you call it? The health centers that were built.
Is the oil palm still?
Yeah, because the previous administration had to privatize it and give it out to SEAT. It's a booming enterprise now. That's employed so many persons. Yet I hear the man didn't do anything. All the health centers across the state are all lying. In fact, this administration came on board and wrote letters to communities to take care of the projects in their place, that they are all bogus projects. And the essence of government is for you to be able to think out of the box and ensure that those ones that, because he said he embarks on those ones that he thinks are profitable to the people, projects that are near completion. Then he puts in some funds in it. Then they're all over the place.
All right, let's bring this home now to your party, the APC. What is happening in the APC? Of late, there's been a lot of negative reports portraying all manners of things happening in the ranks of the APC. You know, reports linking the Minister of Transport with some other members of the party. For example, reports about the kind of frosty relationship between him and one of his trusted allies, and the only senator on the platform of your party in Rivers State, Senator Magnus Ngeyabe, and all of that. What really is happening in the APC?
Well, Beg, I can tell you authoritatively that the APC in Rivers State is one united family. We have no crack. There is no crack in the APC.
What is happening between these two friends?
Well,
the Minister of Transport and the Senator.
What you have is the machinations of the opposition, those who go to WhatsApp and Facebook and all kinds of social media to post things. What is the issue? The issue is that the Minister for Transport comes home to say, look, gentlemen, it does appear people have different ambitions. I want to be governor of Rivers State.
Are you saying that for what? Or you are just joking?
I can't come here with suit and tie and just to joke in a program like Focus Nigeria. I want to be governor of Rivers State, and I'm actually running on the platform of the All Progressive Congress.
Really?
Yes. And we have pockets of people who want to be governor. And each aspirant has his own supporters. You get the point? Now,
and probably power bases.
And power bases. If you put all that together, we probably would not have a party to fly the flag of the party.
To even face the PDP.
And the minister who is the leader of the party comes to say, look, gentlemen, can we all shelve your ambition? Can you shelve? Let us build a party. Haven't come out from an election in which we were battered. Can we put this thing together so that at the end of the day, whoever will fly the flag of the party will have a growing concern on which to run as governor? Is that a crime?
Not on the surface of it. But
is that the crime?
The devil is in the details.
What do you mean is a dictator? Oh, Amaechi is playing God. Amaechi did not play God when he appointed us in those different offices. He didn't play God then. Amaechi was not God when he underwrote the expenses of election for us. He didn't play God. Amaechi didn't play God when he would go and take on wars that are not his own. Because most of the things you see happening to Chibuike Amaechi today are derived wars. Because this is a man who does not
proxy
wars, who doesn't look back on his friends. Amechi can damn a whole ethnic group just because of one friend. And today they turn around. He's playing God. He's doing this. He's doing that. Haba, why are human beings like this?
So the disagreement is within the APC. It is not the machination of the opposition, as we are trying to say.
Well, it is orchestrated by the opposition. And
if there is no crack,
becoming governor of a state means you are popular. A group of parties have just been registered recently. If the leader of the party says I want to focus on rebuilding the party because we are an opposition in the state, and you are not happy, you can approach some of those pseudo parties and make it popular. Instead of banding the man's name everywhere. Oh, he's playing God. Oh, we are building alliances with Asiwaju Bola Tinubu. Why bring in the name of such a Nigerian into your pedestrian politics that you're playing? Who says Amechi?
You mean Tinubu has also become a factor in Rivers State politics?
So they said. Oh, Amechi and Tinubu are not in terms. Who said so? Who takes minutes of the meetings of Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu and Rotimi Amechi? Who takes such minutes? So we will give him contract so that he will support us when Amechi will be thrown out from the AP.
Give who contract?
We will give Tinubu. Those are the narratives at home. But we know that I can sit here and say Asiwaju is my friend, even if I have not seen him, even if I have not had the privilege of shaking him. We know such name droppings. But those of us who have sane mind know that the person of the level of Asiwaju Bola Tinubu is not a pedestrian fellow, is not a small Nigerian whose name you can bandy. This is a man who has carved a niche for himself in the political history of Nigeria. And he's not Rotimi Amechi's enemy in any way. We are not unaware of how the APC was put together. The efforts of everybody. So when they come and tell people, oh, Amechi said I made Buhari president, how can? Just to make the man become everybody's enemy. But just to throw all manner of things at him. He was nominated to be minister. Oh, heavens were to fall.
Sorry. But there were reports that some leaders of the APC, leaders in their respective areas or wards, who were perceived to be loyal to distinguished Senator Magnus Abe, were removed by the minister.
Removed from their position, which organ of the party?
Where they said they are APC caucus leaders in those places. Names like Tony Okocha. Tony, by the way, was Governor Amechi's last chief of staff when he was governor. That he was APC caucus leader in Obiakpo. Wogu Bombs, that's former commissioner for justice, former commissioner for justice and attorney general, was removed. That is a loyalist of, or he was rooting for Magnus Abe. Chief Oswe Yeso. Then there's another Chidi Wikoha, who's a member of the House of Reps, who was also sent.
All these were all removed because they support a candidate.
That those are all the people who
removed
are
from who?
seemingly
Amechi has his own team.
Seemingly rooting for Magnus Abe to be fielded as the governorship candidate.
Rooting from where now? How do they do? Are we in the general election?
That's
what I'm telling you. Most of these things you hear are all things that the opposition try to do to weaken our ranks.
The Honourable
Minister for Transport has his team. And he comes home and finds that, look, we have gone into an election twice and probably we have not done well in certain LGAs. And he needs to rejig the place for leaders who probably are not in tune with current realities to give way to vibrant leadership. And you say, oh, because he's in what? Why has he not thrown me out? That is an aspirant. But the issue is that he says to us, look, wait, and I see it at that, because this whole thing at the end of the day, if we don't have a political party, where would we contest the governorship? And a man who does that, has he committed any crime? Then you start carrying his name. Oh, okay, look at the young man you mentioned, the former chief of staff. Is he also at war with that one too? Haba. Benga. Can he just let Rotimi Amechi be for him to concentrate on what he's doing in the transport sector?
Could it be that he's the one causing all of this?
How?
Because a lot of people
How?
think
This
that
young man-
that
this
is
young
actually
man- this
that is
young man
actually
in
a zona.
Pampers, these young men that were hitherto in Pampers that he brought up.
Yeah, but he should have transited to being a kind of regional leader of the APC. I doubt if there's
You
anybody.
remove-
Sorry, I doubt if there's anybody in the entire South region under the platform of the APC that qualifies to be zonal leader of the APC than him, and that he should have been playing at that level and allow people like you to take charge.
We
in,
need to be, you know,
in
the problem
Rivers.
we have now is that people don't want to be mentored. I know the saying of the late sage Awolowo. He said before being a Nigerian, he's first a Yoruba man.
First an Ijebu man.
He's first an Ijebu man. Now, Rotimi Amechi will not be a regional leader of the All Progressive Congress if he doesn't start from home. He must put his party. What will he bring to the table when other regions meet and his own state is in tatters? And recall that he led all of us into the All Progressive Congress. He owes us a duty to guide us aright. You know that? And that's exactly what he's doing. And people are shouting. He said, look, this is my team. I want to rejig my team. Why not go and form your own team?
All right, but in the midst of all of this, you also got a big key. You caught a big fish some days ago. Tonye Priswill is back in the APC. He left the APC before the 2015 election to become a governorship candidate of the Labour Party. And a lot of people had said that if people like him had remained in the APC and supported that flag, probably the APC would have done better.
Benga, we welcome him to our party. He probably is seeing what we saw then now. He's probably, you know, there is a saying that whenever a man wakes up is his morning. What we saw then, he probably is seeing it now. So he's welcome. And no discrimination. From when you enter the party, you have every right and privilege like every other person.
I also remember that during that crisis in the Rivers State House of Assembly, you were on the wrong side of the law, you were charged to court. The Attorney General entered a nolle prosequi. Not too long ago, I had some whispers that the current government is trying to revisit that case.
Yeah, that's why I said
Are you worried?
What we have in Rivers State is a government of vendetta. I was charged to court for the crisis that happened on the floor of the House. I presented myself for prosecution. And the Attorney General, in his wisdom, invoking the powers given him by the Constitution in Section 211, enters a nolle. I didn't apply for nolle to be entered. And that is it. Once a nolle is entered, before the judgment, that is it.
It terminates.
It terminates the proceedings. Now, another person occupying that same office comes to say he is reviewing the nolle entered by the previous administration. And I know that the Ilori against state against the Ilori also, is still valid law. Where the Justice Kayode Shaw of blessed memory, JSC as he then was, said, the Attorney General is law unto himself.
When he enters nolle.
When he enters law.
It's like the Supreme Court.
So we are in fact, I hear they just served the Inspector General of Police a writ of mandamus to order for my arrest and prosecution and all that.
So the information I have is correct.
You are very correct. You are you are very good. But we are in court. We are
all right.
We will get all that you are seeing now. The Egyptians you see today, you will see them no more by tomorrow. All that will go to.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chidi Lloyd,
You're welcome.
former leader, former majority leader, Rivers State House of Assembly, now a law teacher. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Thanks.
All right, that's Focus Nigeria this Monday morning, which is a public holiday. The holiday continues. Tomorrow is still a public holiday. For those of you who are enjoying at home, good luck to you. It's your lot. And it's my lot to be here to work in to serve your interests. All right, do enjoy the rest of the day. Do everything within the ambit of law. I'll see you tomorrow, God willing.